you know, I don't even like Elvis, and I would watch this again just to see his performance. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I go back to the theater. I can, you know, I can wait for HBO. You know,
I'm sit down for 3 hours.
Yeah. You can pause it and fast forward.
And get on with my goddamn life. Yes, yeah, exactly. I don't need to be spending no 3 hours with Elvis in the theater.
It's the life of Elvis in real time. Oh no.
Let me go ahead, get this out the way right now, because you know what's coming. Elvis. I don't give a shit about Elvis. Think he's one of the world's greatest and most famous culture vultures out there. I don't give a who gave it to him. I don't give a he took himself. You know, I don't like the guy. I don't think he's the king. I find his history to be hurtful, and I don't apologize for that. You know, there's a lot of stuff that people out there find offensive right now that don't even come close to the history that Elvis got. And I'm not talking crazy. I mean, you know, a lot of these songs today, people still don't know was, pick your word, appropriated, stolen by Elvis.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
That's Big Mama Thornton.
Yes, sure is.
Who did the original version of Hound Dog. And the thing about that is it's not a matter of just taking it and giving it to somebody who's going to make more profit from it because of their skin color, but that you know, again, that was a black woman power anthem, and that was something that to identify black women, and it was taken to give to this guy so they can make money off of it. And this, meanwhile, this is buried right here. You only hear about that, and you know, when you hear people like me talk about it. But other than that, you know, Elvis, he's king. He took that. So you know, yeah, the hell with this guy. I don't have to like this guy. I don't care if anybody else likes him either. That's your choice. But now I'm being tested. It's almost like some Batman Joker shit. Our fates are twined. I don't want to do nothing. I don't have nothing to do with this guy, and yet I had to go watch a damn near 3-hour movie about Elvis. Thing is, and I know y'all looking at me right now, can I watch a movie about Elvis and accept it just as that, a movie? You know, I mean, you know, don't go in there with all your baggage. Go in there, keep an open mind, and judge the film, not the man. Can you actually separate those two? And I'll tell you something. This is one thing I really hate about Elvis, man. This is the one that I can't stand about him, man. I gotta admit, he was a bad motherfucker. I can't stand it. One through a party at the county jail. You know, I'm gonna like that shit. I like that.
Them hips swinging all over the place, yeah.
You should have heard the knocked out jailbird sing that.
God damn it, even sometimes I gotta admit. I mean, hey, look, that's showing you I'm being fair, because someone who always talks about be a performer. If you have to perform in front of people, he was one of the greatest. I admit that. But can I take that kind of fairness into this film? It's one thing to look at a song right here for a few minutes. It's another thing to sit and spend damn near 3 hours with somebody I ain't crazy about. But I tell you, let's go ahead and talk about this movie right here, which is Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. You know, Baz Luhrmann is, talk about a performer. This is a man who performs with the camera. Performs his ass off. I mean, you can just see, takes that camera, just swings it around sometime, man.
He does, man.
Yeah, he does. But this is his movie about Elvis. Baz Luhrmann is a showman. He's more than a director. You know, he's all about the visuals. Really, he you know, sometimes he makes things that are, you know, they're musicals, and if they aren't completely musicals, then they might as well be, you know, because they're directed in the same fashion.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it works to great effect, sometimes it doesn't. How does it work with the flashy performer like Elvis? Is this truly just another biopic? And what the is going on with Tom Hanks in this?
I'm sorry, I just saw a trailer today.
Why is Tom Hanks looking like Oswald Cobblepot over here?
That shit is folding, boy.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer for Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
Sing.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Elvis Presley.
Elvis and I got off on the wrong foot at the beginning of this. I started a little bit negative. So let me just say something a little positive right here about this movie. And this is not any bearing on what I'm having to say about the rest of the film, but let me just say something. What the thing that I really enjoyed the most about this film, with all the money and production that went into this, all these names that went into this, everything that went into this, the real reason, in my opinion, to see this is because of this dude right here, Austin Butler, man. I hope Elvis was nothing like this, because I would have to admit, damn, he's cool.
Yeah.
You stole a lot of shit from my people, Elvis, but can't stay mad at you, man. Because they made him seem. This performance I thought was great. And I'll tell you why, because it's so easy. Listen, we have so many Elvis impersonators out there. Certain images of Elvis are so entrenched in our culture. It's easy to slip into a mere impersonation or parody.
Or caricature.
Our caricature of Elvis, man. But Austin Butler, I think he was so effective because he understood how you have to play this person that everybody thinks they knows and has their own version of. You play this character low key, and I say character because I don't know how much of this is. This is, for one, it's a biopic, it's a Hollywood movie, and it's Baz Luhrmann. Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. All right.
That's an important distinction.
That is a very. This might as well be a goddamn Marvel movie. Yeah. He's concentrating on the emotion behind the character, instead of just being a voice and a swagger. And that's when you become the character. He understood he had to tackle the emotion of a character, not Elvis. It had to be a character. And great casting, man. I mean, after a while, because at first, when I was looking at this, I said, I don't see Elvis, man. I see a lesbian. I see anything but I see anything but I see anything but Elvis. But he became Elvis very quickly in the movie. I saw Elvis when I watched him.
You know what? And everybody's been raving about his performance. I think it's fine, but he didn't become Elvis to me until later in the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he got me in the beginning. And I think what it is that this guy, it's great. He's such a great actor because he could have been a dude that had the look and the voice, and it could have been terrible because even when he's talking, I've seen this guy in other movies and never noticed it, but when unless he just got stuck in an Elvis loop or something, he can't get out the character.
Caught in the trap.
Caught in the Elvis trap.
Can't get out.
Hey, help me, man, help me.
Because I love you too much, baby.
Give me the on, man. But this guy, when he's talking, he sounds kind of like Elvis a little bit.
I started with just being a sponge, reading every book that I could get my hands on and working on that because the voice is so important.
Well, he's stuck.
He does sound like Elvis there.
I'm going to say that he's stuck.
He actually sounds more like Elvis right there than he did in the movie.
I'm sorry, man. I'm getting a little Johnny Depp there. I'm sorry.
No, I got some of that too. I heard that as well.
Yeah. I'm like, was he testifying against Amber
Before
Heard?
Johnny Depp became a drunk pirate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Johnny Depp used to be him. Now Johnny Depp, hold on, man. Sitting in court, some kind, man. But it's gummy bears. Yeah. But nah, man. To me, and I get it, because I'm not gonna say he's different things to different people.
Sure. It's just through most of the early part of it, because the thing is, like you jump so much on Elvis. Elvis was he was pretty naive. He was a poor, not well educated truck driver. Mm-hmm. So much of what he gets, he's infamous for, he wasn't even orchestrating. He was just going along with whatever was told. But Austin Butler, he has some of that, but he's also, it just feels like he's always trying to be a cool guy, always doing the smolder in his look. It's not until they get till later in the Vegas years where they start putting some prosthetics on him occasionally. It was weird how they did it sometimes and didn't, but when they put that on him, then I was just like, holy shit, looks, okay, that's incredible. Y'all should do that through the whole movie.
Well, that's cool. No, caught me early, but definitely caught you later.
Yeah.
But it caught both of us at some point.
It caught both of y'all.
Yeah. We got hit with that Elvis.
Yeah.
Nah, man. And like I said, he gets the emotion down, I thought, man. Sure, there's the cool Elvis, but there's moments where Elvis is an emotional wreck. You know, there's one where he's in a rage. That is, and it is so good. I mean, I watched and I was like, God damn, why'd y'all piss Elvis off? Somebody who wants to piss Elvis off. I was like, why y'all do this man over here? Yeah, there's some really good scenes, emotional scenes where he caught that as a person instead of just as a caricature. I think that this is a performance where the character ages convincingly, you know. Because I agree with you. The older he got, it was like, wow. The more they did embrace Elvis, man. You know, I don't even like Elvis, and I would watch this again just to see his performance. I don't know if I go back to the theater. I can, you know,
I
can wait for HBO. You know,
you gonna sit down for 3 hours?
Yeah. You can pause it and fast forward.
And get on with my goddamn life. Yes, yeah, exactly. I don't need to be spending no 3 hours with Elvis in the theater.
It's the life of Elvis in real time. Oh no!
I don't think he was as appreciative to black people as history says sometimes. Or, you know, there's other parts of it where he was not. He enjoyed his servers more than he enjoyed, the black musicians that they claim he was hanging out with. He wasn't as open-minded as you think. So, but then we're talking about the movie here. And again, like I said, Austin Butler, I was mesmerized every time he's on the screen. I loved watching him. Tom Hanks, on the other hand, in this. Now, I don't know how people feel about it. Tom Hanks, on the other hand, to me, is the complete opposite of everything I was saying about Austin Butler. He is a caricature. He is a cartoon. And no, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being just hypercritical because he gave such a great performance not too long ago. Back the I was moved by that.
That was just like him in that thing he do. He's always hollering at somebody in a black suit on.
Yeah, I was that right there. That was a great performance and a moving performance by Tom Hanks. But this right here, I don't. Yeah, I don't really have. They don't give us any clips or anything with Tom Hanks in there because I think he's been actually catching a lot of flack for it.
Well, the Colonel was I'm not like I've full disclosure, I haven't seen the movie, but he was a character. Like he was
a larger than life character.
He was.
He had the Dutch accent. He tried to pretend like he wasn't Dutch. He tried to pretend it was Southern.
Yeah.
And everybody was my boy. I mean, Eddie Murphy even has a story about like I almost whipped his ass calling my boy, and I was like, no man, he called everybody his boy.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, there he is right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Kind of nailed the make.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, to me, when he's in this, it's a cartoonish performance. I think because he just lays that accent on too thick. Yeah. I think it's too much. I kept hearing a Nazi Elmer Fudd every time he talked, man.
Oh damn.
Yeah. Every time. No. You were the real villain. I did not, because let me play it. I don't know if I have his voice queued up, but let me see.
He had no idea what he had done.
He had no idea what he had done. And now the Colonel, maybe the Colonel sounded like that at one time, but I've heard that's the one thing I know from Elvis. The Colonel was always on TV back in the day, and I remember this dude. And I always thought he was a Southern dude. I didn't even know that he was Dutch because he sounded so Southern.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah, because if you listen to him, he must have practiced because he sounds like a Southerner, man.
I felt it was good for us not to go on, although all these fellas were good friends of mine. Most of the time, they booked people when they're big stars.
That's more like Colonel Sanders with a lisp, man.
Yeah, wow. What was Tom Hanks doing?
Well, this is after he went, but then I
was giving him a serious benefit of the doubt, and now I'm like, what the hell?
Well, in all fairness, though, I did some research on him. Because he came over here illegally.
Yeah.
But this is. Again, you showed him for about to put him in a dustpan, like you said.
Are you saying like this is after he's perfected the accent?
Working on it, working after he already got legal trouble. Like, look, you ain't from here.
But even then, it's still it's up there.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's just not a very convincing performance, man. And I'm saying this in a Baz Luhrmann movie.
Sure,
where things are crazy.
Well, Tom Hanks had COVID while he was doing this.
That's true.
that was when he was like the first celebrity to come out and like, yeah, we got it. It's all right. It's like a cold.
No matter how good you are, though, not everybody nails it every time.
Of
and
course.
if he did have COVID, put his ass up until he's better.
That's why he's sweating so much.
Yeah. I'm not sitting up here trying to make fun of Tom Hanks.
Sure.
You know, it was just something where
it's distracting.
Yeah.
And really, even though the movie's titled Elvis, he's really the main character.
No, that is true. Because I was going to say this, as for the movie, outside of the performances, the movie's like in two parts for me, man. I was very, very lukewarm about the beginning. Some parts I didn't even like. It's because for one thing, it's everything that I don't like about the history of Elvis, and I don't think that the movie did any favors to that. It didn't need it anyway. So I mean, let's just talk about this in two ways. One, we're talking about a guy that benefited, stole, appropriated, whatever you want to say, from black culture where other black people didn't get it. So now they're doing hip hop in here over these parts where he's stealing people's music. But
that's the Lerman, baby.
Oh,
Yeah, he does that.
but I didn't. But the thing is, okay, let's just say, let me keep my sensitive ass out of it. It just didn't fit.
You ain't nothing but a dog player.
Because it doesn't play into the movie.
I know.
There's no.
I know.
They put it in, they stop, and I'm just kind of like,
Tomorrow, all of America.
it's insulting because it's like you just did it because there's black people on the screen. Because this movie, this is not even black people ain't the demographic for this movie,
But he
man.
did
They're
this-
not the demographic.
No, you're right. But he did the same thing with The Great Gatsby.
Good Gatsby. Yeah.
Yes, he did, and
with
I
those
thought it felt
crazy-
out of place.
No,
there.
I know. Yeah, it was so out of place. It's like, man, this movie's gonna be a train wreck. And then halfway through, he goes like, all right, let me focus on the actual story.
Yeah, and I don't listen. I'm just saying I don't mind it if the movie was playing a lot of parts contemporary like that.
I know.
It's kind of scattered because they play hard rock that's not in that period. They they're playing hip hop and they just drop it after a certain point. This is also the part where I told you where he's at the church, soaking up powers. And,
That's exactly what I thought about that trailer. I was like, there we go. Oh, it's in it now.
I'm surprised like the black people just weren't sucked dry after he was done.
Sure, it's like Catwoman where you lay out and all the Negroes come and breathe into you and you get your powers.
It looks like he's soaking it up.
Yeah, it's that poor Southern speaking in tongues kind of church.
Yeah, look at Meanwhile, you see black people go, yeah.
The boy lit just sucking it up.
Yeah, he's a villain in this. Also, I don't like, speaking to that part where, we see Elvis hanging out with black people and stuff. I don't like movies, and it's just me. I don't want to see. It's a preference of my own. I don't like watching movies, where it's celebrated seeing, white people allowed to go into spaces of black people, but we weren't allowed to step out of that. That was a serious thing and a dangerous thing. And here it's shown as joyful. It's celebrated. And I have no interest in seeing that. It's just like when we say we don't want to see struggle movies and stuff like that. It's just not an interest of mine.
I get you.
Nothing against people who want to see that, who watch this and don't get what I'm saying. They even have a scene with Elvis is displayed side by side from the people he stole from, and they seem to be doing that pretty joyfully too. Just not my thing. Something I don't want to see. Diversity, blah blah blah. I want to move on to better things, images that appeal to me. But also, let's move on from any kind of racial issues I have, anything like that. Let's talk about another thing that I found. We're talking about celebrating things. This is a big word today. Grooming. And let's not forget that Elvis was possibly a groomer, man. I know the South was different and all this kind of stuff, but if it had been anybody else but Elvis, people be like, that's kind of weird and creepy. He married Priscilla Presley at 14, man. And you know what? Okay, it's a different time and whatnot, but really it's romanticized here, man. This is something where I thought that's kind of weird to me, and I find it weird that people just kind of, bypass that. But, whatever. But I will say that, more so than that, I think the first half of the movie was it was leaning towards, besides Baz Luhrmann's direction, it was leaning towards that average biopic that we see all the time. the discovery, the rise, the fame, the origin story, whatever. It played out kind of that way to me. Speaking of Baz Luhrmann's production, though, this man loves showing off his visual flair.
Yes, he does.
Which
I tell you, I through so much of this, I was like, Elvis is kind of an afterthought here. He was gonna make this with somebody.
He was he was an afterthought to After Effects. This dude, man. He loves showing off his visual flair. He's gonna make himself the star of the movie. This fool upstage Elvis, man, like you said. He was what you say, Elvis was an afterthought. But I tell you, I will say this, and again, being fair, it suits the film more often than not, because we're talking about, this is a movie about a performer who shows a lot of production into his work, probably sometimes too much. Probably he put a lot of excess in his shows, just like I'm talking about Elvis.
Oh, you're talking about Elvis.
Yeah, Elvis. Elvis put a lot of work and production to his shows, and he had and it was all done with passion. Some people say to a point of excess, to a little too much. But that kind of suits Baz Luhrmann, and there's a point where where Elvis, his life goes, it meets with Baz Luhrmann's production or his visuals, and it's like, okay, now y'all kind of going side by side.
This movie is all about excess.
Yes, it is.
Forget calling it Elvis, call it excess.
Yeah, Luhrmann's style caught what what I like about this is that it caught the excess of Elvis's life. So other times it was catching the excess of Elvis's life. Other times it's Baz Luhrmann just losing his mind. It's almost like they tied a camera to a 3-year-old and gave him a bunch of candy bars and let that mother go. Or somebody tied my ass down to a merry-go-round and just spun that shit fast. Because everything is swirling, everything is spinning,
everything is so big, everything is slow motion.
Yes,
it's bright lights,
grandiose.
Coming from everywhere. Yeah, grandiose. That's the word.
Yeah, man.
That sounds exhausting.
Now I will say that the second half, that's where it became more interesting to me. That's where everything kind of fell into place. The direction, the visuals, the story, all of that, man. And this is where I was able to put most of my biases aside. It's not from the hero's point of view anymore, the protagonist or Elvis's point of view. This time, and it's been doing that through the movie. It's been Colonel Parker's, played by Tom Hanks. It's been his narration the whole movie. But this second half is where we really start to switch to a villain story told from his point of view, told through his words, trying to tell us how good he is, trying to convince everybody how good he is. This dude is such a con man. And this, and he is in real life. Like in real life, they found a lot of things where he completely ripped Elvis off. Yeah. Which was what you say. Elvis just ignorant.
Yeah,
he didn't know how to handle his money at all.
I didn't want to put it that crudely, but yeah.
He was. I'm not saying stupid. He was ignorant, man.
Yeah. He wasn't educated.
Yeah, but this dude, and I love the way this plays out with him because he's such a con man. I like his narration because he spends the movie trying not only to convince himself or to convince us, he's trying to con himself into thinking that he's a good guy.
That was what attracted Tom Hanks to the role. He said the idea of playing somebody who is a piece of shit, but how they don't see themselves as that.
No, and he has to, he knows he's such a piece of shit. He has to con himself into thinking that he's good. Lying to himself the whole time. Can you believe what they said about me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, bitch, I'm looking at you right now.
I saw what you just did.
Your hand is in my pocket as you're talking.
Yeah. See, you're an asshole just like them. You made me do this. Make you do a damn thing. Yeah, I actually enjoyed that part right there with him, man. Baz Luhrmann, in his direction, yes, very showy, as we, everything is spectacle with him, as we've mentioned. But the second half, instead of showing off, his flashy direction kind of kept this from being an average biopic, and that it paralleled, contributed to Elvis's story. It became an interesting visual metaphor for what Elvis was going through with this, man. Elvis was, Elvis in this movie. Now, I guess I only can't speak for real life as with any movie from Hollywood, but he was a prisoner of his own success. That we knew. But, it was all done by the design of Colonel Parker. And it's funny because, and this is real, man, I believe, Elvis, arguably the biggest cultural icon, pop icon in the world, if not in this country, you know. But still, with that, this is a man who did not see the world,
Right.
except when he was in the army.
That's very real.
Yeah, he did not. He wanted to go so many places, and he was trapped. And I thought that was fascinating in this movie, showing that part of the story, man. You know, the bigger he made his shows, the smaller that cage he was in would become, man.
I know.
You know, it was sad. You know, this guy couldn't go anywhere, and it was all again done by by design of somebody that he trusts. And Baz Luhrmann is able to capture that visually, man, because there are moments in the movie where Elvis looks like he's losing his mind, man. And when you see Baz Luhrmann, his direction gets more frantic and gets more crazy as Elvis gets more crazy and paranoid, and also feels more trapped himself, man. All of this is boiling. Like, we saw Elvis, saw his story, then the Colonel starts taking over, and now all this is like slowly coming to a boiling point where these two they're about to throw down.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
yeah.
Shit, and there's a moment in here where Elvis went off, and I was like, God damn, I love this. I thought he was gonna beat that fool's ass.
With Kung Fu.
It was good. Yeah. Because it got slow. And I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but it started out slow, and it's like, oh shit, this is real. This is escalating. And I was like, man, this is uncomfortable in the best way possible. I love that part, man. I thought that was fun. Yeah, you know, and also I think it escalates Tom Hanks's performance. Tom Hanks's performance also. I still think it was a little bit over the top, but I thought as he was able to take control of the movie a little bit more, he did a little bit better.
Well, because by the time you're in this last third, things have come together and they all have more to do. That's really more about the drama and interaction between people.
Yeah.
Where up to this point, it's we're hitting history points and we're showing shows and pageantry and building up, you know, how badass Elvis was. But it's not until we get to the last third, you're like, all right, now we're actually doing something.
Yeah, no, for sure, man.
And this is where it means something.
Yeah, and you know, it becomes it escalates to a point where you got a guy who's trying to control this man, and this is a man who refuses to be controlled, and it's it's a huge conflict of interest for both these guys who were so intertwined with each other.
I'm gonna show you what the real Elvis is like tonight.
You're looking for trouble? You came to the right place. You're looking for trouble?
Oh,
I see what you're talking about too.
Yeah. There's so much of that. I was like, I bet that scene, that performance didn't go down like that with a lot of
Also, yeah, I know it didn't because I've seen Elvis in real life.
Yeah. I mean, you know, look, I could say for some people, I think, not for me, because I don't think the first half was as strong, therefore it wasn't as well paced, but I was impressed by the third half and how well paced that was. The second half, how well paced that was. For a 3-hour movie, again, doesn't need to be that long. I'd recommend it. Would I recommend going out your way to see this? No. I'd recommend going to see it for the performances or watching it for the performances of not everybody, but some of the stronger characters, mainly Austin Butler. But for the full film being 3 hours, I don't know, man. What do you think?
This came off to me as this is Elvis by way of someone from Australia. not somebody who's been here and grew up watching Elvis and knowing what it's like.
Sure.
But Baz Luhrmann coming from Australia and showing up and going like, all right, I got ideas and I got the rights to the Elvis property. Now I need you to give me 8 facts about Elvis that everybody knows and 8 facts about Elvis that barely anybody knows. It's funny about the first half because the way it comes on, it is so like a Busby Berkeley musical in every scene, just so much over the top pageantry that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna meet you where you are. Instead of me sitting back here going like, Jesus, guy, I was like, hey, just dive into it. Dive into the pit of jewels and let it rush over you. But then it kind of backs off of that and changes, and it's somewhere when it's making the transition from that part to the later part that you like, where that's when it started to get dull. It's like, this is feeling repetitive, and I think that's so much of what wears it down. But you're right. When it gets to the second half or the third, I enjoyed it much better. Yeah. It's centering on the things that are important. It does something here. I don't even know if it was necessary, but his one of his comeback specials where he's in the black leather. And I was like, I don't know what you need to go on with this, but this is done so well that I was like, this is making me want to go watch that actual special. Because I was like, yeah, man, you know, for all the negative things about Elvis, and I'm not denying that they are, he was a talented singer. And I was like, you know, I really do like those songs. And there's probably some other good ones on the album. So I was like, you know, it's getting that across. It's just too bad that it's, you know, it's so fractured and it's so long.
As far as wrapping it up to my rating, I think that with the criticisms that I've had and being that this is 3 hours and I think it's very spotty in parts, you know, you jump from like, this is good, oh my God, this is not very good at all. Oh, this is iffy. Oh, we picked it back up again. It's a very bumpy ride. But where it goes is enjoyable for me. I don't know if like I said, I don't know if I'd rush out to the theater to see this. I don't know if I'd tell anybody to rush out to the theater to see this, but I did enjoy it. Only reason I'll tell anybody to rush out to the theater to see it is that if you do enjoy the kind of direction and you know the panache that Baz Luhrmann puts out there, okay, big screen is fine. You know, if you love Elvis that much and want to see it with sort of that, you know, that pageantry, then fine, go see it on the big screen. But for somebody like me, it's a very positive and very high rental. If it had been just a more even movie, if it had been more consistent, I would be up to giving this a matinee. Mm-hmm. But the points I'm taking off are not even for my biases. I'm taking it off for direction and just being inconsistent. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very high rental for me, man. I did enjoy it. It's a very positive. If it was on Rotten Tomatoes, I'd give it a fresh.
But I'm like you. It's a high rental.
Yeah. I did enjoy it. Yeah. Okay. Wish it was tighter. Hey, you want to give a real quick opinion on this, Julian? Because you saw it.
Honestly, I forgot the movie.
Oh, now you sat up here.
I was excited to hear him say something about it too.
I can do his review. Man, that movie was long.
I'm sitting here.
Shit. Ooh, that movie was long.
But you know what's fucked up though? I'm sitting here going like, you know, I'm enjoying y'all. I'm really interested to see what he's gonna say about it too. I hope he saw it. I'm sitting there going, man, I hope Julian saw it
Julian, I ain't gonna even put his life out there, but Julian has said so much contradicting shit to me these last few days. Boy, he got in the car and talked about, man, I can't wait to hear you talk about Elvis, man. Man, I got some things to say. I feel this way. Man, I ain't like you. And I was like, all right, okay, well, I can't wait to get to it. And then we look over there and ask him, hey, man, come on, talk about the movie. Man, I don't remember that shit, man.
He Michigan J. Frog.
He sure did.
Ribbit.
He sure did.